happy to be talking with you.
That's how I feel, Edgar. I love you. Your whole like rainbow aura is incredible. You're beautiful.
I know, I love your amazing, like, geometric mandala light magic behind you, and you're glowing as always. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
I, have a beauty background. And so I was really lucky that I got to work at BeautyCon this year with the fabulous Grace Duong in their Mystic Mondays booth
Mm.
that they were turned on to by their cousin. And at the last minute, I got turned on to that from Sarah Faith Gottesdiener, who was going to work in the booth too. So I really, they asked for a recommendation. Sarah recommended me, and I really went after that with Grace. And I adore Grace now. Lots of texties and great times. I love and admire their work so much, but they're really into color magic. And so my beauty background, your background right now is giving me that color magic feels, because this is such a kind of a classic dark looking time where we talk
Mm.
about worrying and working through a gigantic global virus. Focusing on the beauty of color is helping me so much right now. And so my beauty background just tells me have really awesome lights. So I have really awesome, gotta light it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely color magic has been so powerful lately. And I've definitely been working a lot with color, and I've been working with it for a long time. I think color for me is such a portal, and it really allows us to weave in different things that we might be needing for support. Like there was a while in my life where I was like doing nothing but orange magic because I was really trying to work that orange and get like super creative and work those fires. And I feel like I did it so much that like now it's just like constantly pouring out, you know?
Oh, so really root chakra vibes.
Yeah, definitely. And working with the sacral chakra too, working with that orange kind of creative fire magic to the root. So kind of connecting both of those, definitely. Yeah.
I love how the sacral and root chakra talk about pleasure and pain, and they're interconnected, their intersection, because when you're in your pleasure, there's so much hope and joy with that. And that means that they're always going to oscillate and have pain that give that contrast, that tell us when we're in pleasure. I don't know. I think the root chakra is so brave for being able to hold our secrets and
Mm,
hold our trauma and to really protect us. So
yeah.
I'm so excited that you got that orange flowing, because you know me with my forever home in Orange County, California. I'm sure I bleed citrus orange. Oh, well, aren't we so lucky that our ancestors survived so we could knit together and we could meet and join forces? You're a person that I loved before I ever met you in the flesh, and the epicness of being able to meet you at your first solo show at the Vincent Price Museum. I would love, love, love for you to talk about Perpetual Flowering, your show, because I can't wait for, everybody that watches this video to hear from you what that experience was, because the
Mm.
color in that was stunning.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, that to me was such an incredible experience for many, many different reasons. I think one of them being that, I growing up was someone who always admired artists who were able to make it into the museum space, and to have my first show at the Vincent Price Art Museum with, such an incredible group of creatives who work there and arts administrators, and the director Pilar Tompkins Rivas is
Yes, fabulous.
such an
Beautiful.
angel, such a fabulous human being. And yeah, so I think, and also to have my parents come and to have them feel comfortable being in the space, like so much of that experience really was transformative and really helped shift for me what it means to be a practicing artist today, because so much community came together that day. And I really felt like everyone was under the spell of the powerful flower essence that Sewan O and I had made together. So that also to me was so magical, that we get to all just like take an essence and vibrate with the flower kin and just like be in that space together and hold that all together while we're also like taking in art and taking in each other's conversations. Like,
I know.
yeah.
Amazing folks. Just for anybody that wasn't at Perpetual Flowering, the way that it worked is we literally ascended or took an elevator up to the floor where Edgar's space was. And then we walked in and we were gently beckoned by this light to a very simple table where there was what I term a book of shadows, which is an open book, and a flower essence with a very brief description that we could consume this flower essence as we wanted to. And just the way people circled the flower essence was really incredible. And for me, as a lifelong practicing witch, being able to be inside of a spell. I literally felt like I was Jonah in the belly of the whale. It was everywhere. And then my internal system was all vibrating with your spell too, because I chose to consume the flower essence, and so did my teenagers and my sweetheart. So all of us were in the spell with you, and the lighting was just absolutely incredible. So I met so many cool people. It was so incredible. And that's the first time I met you in the flesh. And it was just
Yeah.
deep, radical love at first sight.
Same. And it was such a blessing to meet your family and you at the same time, and to just be in that blissful space. And I definitely feel like the ancestors were so present that day with us, because so much of my intention for that whole project was to honor intergenerational communion and connection, and to be able to kind of build bridges and linkages where they might have been disrupted. And I think that's definitely been a huge part of my practice in general. I think I see myself as an interlocutor, as an interdimensional being that travels through multiple spaces and kind of weaves these like tethers and webs that hold things together that have been brought apart. But I definitely feel like so many witches are doing that right now, and working even with like the mycelial spaces and like the ways that like so many kind of webs are connecting us all. And like I definitely feel like that's why their ancestors are speaking louder and louder than ever and communicating through so many people. Like I get so many messages constantly of people being like, my ancestor came to me last night, or I had this vision. Like they're really communicating with us. So I definitely feel like it is so much of the spell work and magic that witches all over are doing right now.
It's so real. You know, the fact that pleasure is one of our big connections, Edgar, is so obvious to me. And it's something we never discussed, but it's something that's been as easy as pie and just as regular as rain. We both love pleasure.
Yeah.
And also inside of that, do some pretty fiercely deep and potent work. And that's one of the main things about me is I say that my magic is kind of hiding in plain sight. And I said that to Thaddeus when we were at the wonderful, please remind me of the Rainbow Transmissions full name, because the wonderful Eliza Swan Golden Dome School founder, I believe, and you put that together with many fabulous people, including El Hermit, Francisco, and there was one other fabulous dancer with Thaddeus as well. But I told Thaddeus that day in downtown LA, you can see my spells coming for me. I don't like it to be confusing, even though I, in my own private solo solitary witchcraft, can cast extremely intricate spells that have a really just like fractaled out wild prisms. I do like the work that I offer and the meal, the plate that I offer to others
Yes.
in wonderful consumable bites that are based in pleasure. And I don't think that that makes them less potent. In fact, I think that pleasures, that unsung hero, and we share that so much, Edgar.
Yes, I would say, as being an avid fan of your channel and of your practice, of your Instagram account, like everything that you do, I think there's so much pleasure in everything you do, and you offer so generously and you give so much. And I think people come to you, they flock to you because you emanate this love and this giving. And as you're saying, this accessibility, this openness and transparency, like all things that I feel are so needed. It's such deep medicine to be able to feel like I trust this person. They're being open. They're even being open about their process. They're sharing what's going on. They're not like you're saying, hiding anything or trying to complicate stuff. And I think people are so needing that. It is such a healing balm in our times where information is being weaponized. And I think just being able to say, I'm open, I'm offering myself, I'm being transparent, those are such gifts. Such
We
gifts.
talked a little bit about framework, and there's an organization to nature. There's a way that we are organized inside of our animal body to rise with the sun and to muse with the moon. There's some basic building blocks that I think are so wonderful, and they let us be a baby to our experience in this dimension, in this field. And being kind of in that push-pull of pleasure and pain, but also in the organization and framework. I just love witchcraft for having that framework of the lunar phases. You can get intricate with that if you want to, but that basic heeding the call to celebrate on the full moon and to really introspect on the new moon. It's so, I don't know, it's so wonderfully organized.
Yeah. And it creates structure and it's consistent, and it allows us to have kind of touch points in our life and also to come together, right? I think that's also what's really powerful, is it gives us a reason to come together and to celebrate, as you're saying, or to be introspective, to do divination work. And I think I love that nature provides that sort of organization for us. And I think the more we kind of move into the flow and the consciousness of, I think that's why I love, I keep getting called to this. Seiwan O created very recently this amazing, it's periwinkle flower essence.
Wow.
And yeah, working with plants has been so life-changing because they really allow you to kind of move more into the consciousness of a plant and kind of let that organicity move through your body, through your animal body, right? And
Lovely.
yeah.
Periwinkle is consumable. I did not know that, Edgar. Thank you, Seiwan. Oh, I love you so much. What powerful, gorgeous medicine. I've thought back at perpetual flowering, to touch back to your beautiful show and your beautiful spell. The datura and the rue were the ones that sort of really kind of grabbed me. And we're talking about other fabulous, powerful magic makers like Seiwan, and we're talking about Eliza Swan. I must bring up Karina Rosella.
Oh,
They're
yes.
fabulous essences that they create. They have a 10 of cups, which is a essence, a consumable essence that has this unbelievable rhododendron, wild rhododendron flower in it that just, it blows my mind when I consume this. It's about building community, particularly queer community. And I just absolutely love that essence. I also love the essences that Dory Midnight and Sarah Faith Gottesdiener create together, which is dark moon, new moon, and full moon. They're also beautiful. There's just so much gorgeous stuff.
Yeah.
So Edgar, we're talking about creating a meal for those that we're gathering with right now, because, you are our guests and we are your guests because our bodies are interconnected and we feed each other when we're present with each other. I have a way that I create space in my spaces using the flame of candles and using my atmosphere mist that I utilize to consecrate each session. if it's okay with you, may I light a candle?
Please. Yes, I would
Okay.
love that.
I don't know how I'm going to be able to show it. We're just going to do what I do, and we're going to be fully visible and not knowing how it's going to turn out. But
Perfect.
I strike this wooden match and light this candle for the collective, to alert our spirit guides that we're here, we're open, we're listening, and we're ready to receive the messages that are meant for us. And I really hope this doesn't tip over my stand. And Edgar and I thank our subscribers to this field, to our channels.
Yes.
And we light this magic candle to bless you throughout your experience today and always. I'm going to do my damnedest to let you witness this flame. For this entire video, you are propped on the wonderful Michelle Obama's book, Becoming. I'm not afraid to rig up a set. I think that both candles are able to be witnessed as they burn. So subscribers, thank you for feeding us back with your subscription, because that's feedback for us, and that feeds us, and that helps us feather our nest healthfully over here on YouTube. And the collective is everything to Edgar and I, for we know that until all of us are free, none of us are free. So this is our radical act of freedom.
Yes.
Blessings and blessed be.
Thank you so much for lighting those candles. I can feel the field that's been created here, all the way here in Oklahoma.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. And I wanted to say, I also brought a couple of things I would love to spray for all of us here together in this space. I have this presence spray that I've made. It's not like available yet, but it might be available soon. And
yes, please.
It has oak, clematis, wild rose essences in it. And it has multiple different essential oils, juniper, geranium, marjoram, and almorihiba. So very cleansing, very purifying, but also invoking spirit. So just to kind of open up the space and kind of connecting it to the magical candle opening. I want to just
thank you, Edgar.
Spray a little bit.
Oh, that's
wonderful. A little bit over to you.
Thank you. I utilize that in my Glamour for Protection, which is one of my very favorite spells, and the first classic spell that I learned. I'd like everybody to gather Edgar's wonderful mystical spray, which, by the way, juniper. I love to utilize in my spells juniper berries to summon the fairies.
Yes.
That mist, and we gather it to our sweet lips and whisper our magic into our hands. Freedom.
Magic for all.
And then we bathe ourselves in our wish. We bathe ourselves in our magic. And we summon the fairies with those juniper berries. Thank you, Edgar. That's so awesome. Yay. If I don't have my atmosphere mist handy, oh, they are handy.
Beautiful. I cannot wait to try your atmosphere mist.
I have my 3 babies. I will send them to you. I have made a decision which is challenging for me, but I'm going to do it anyways. I have reclaimed the word droplet. And mist contains droplets.
Yes.
And for this full moon coming up in a few days to the next full moon, I will zero out my stock of this mist, my droplets, as a way to honor and give reverence to folks that do not need to receive these droplets in the mail from me right now. That's just what I'm doing with my magic. I'm really needing things to settle now, and for drops to fall, and for everyone to stay put and to flatten the curves. So I'm showing you my sweethearts that will ride again, but I'm going to pull them off my market for moon to moon just right now. And I'm in no way suggesting that other folks need that to be their magic. I've got a huge stock of them right now. So it kind of pains me to say that, but I knew the other day that I had so many concerns about sending folks photos of me packing with a mask on and gloves. And I just thought, nah, this isn't the time to draw attention to myself in that way. This is a time to let everyone settle and make their own mist and use what they've got and be really simple. So I've got my resist mist for protection with the black lava bead within, a little resist mist ASMR. And I've got my moon magic for manifestation, and that's got a quartz crystal bead within. I think it's stuck because it's not sounding like it normally does. There we go. It's being mysterious.
Yeah.
And I've got aura for invoking spirit guides and earthly lovers. And of course, she's got a tiger eye bead within. This baby girl needs me to read them. Federico Garcia Lorca, queer poetry. So this is laborious and the most popular mist that I have.
Yeah.
I would like to honor your mist's presence and be with my candles and your mist. We've introduced my babies. They're fine and they're waiting to come back onto the scene, but I want to honor your mist right now and let that be our one mist that we're utilizing right now. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah. And I love that our network is receiving these droplets.
Yes.
And that we're reclaiming the word droplet. Yeah. And that we're reclaiming, pleasure and power and protection, right?
Yeah. So Edgar and I are weaving together our ancestral protection spell today for you, with you.
Yes.
And there's so many ways that we can do that. The word protection, somehow in our radical capitalist patriarchy, has been viewed, I believe, and villainized and kind of brought into the idea that there's protection is walls and protection is holding people away. And I am reclaiming protection as an act of pleasure, as an act of swaddling myself in gorgeous memories, in present day sweetness, and in future deep knowings that abundance is ours. And I'm swaddling myself in that, and I'm holding myself in that, because now our experiences, how we're together, but we're fully needing to be separate. So we're having to really learn how to cuddle ourselves and swaddle ourselves in this idea that there's goodness in everything that's ever been, that is now and shall be too. Right. So pleasure and protection go together, and they swaddle us and they cushion us. And that's how we can keep fear at bay, is with cushioning ourselves in protective pleasures. So that dopamine flows, so that wonderful endorphins that are so essential for building our immune system flow. So I have a request. I love your spell that says flow. Can you indulge us in your beautiful, gorgeous voice saying flow?
Flow.
Oh.
Flow, 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 flow.
Beautiful. I think that is a perfect incantation.
Yes.
To let that ancestral protection enter our lives in a flow.
Flow.
Flow, 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 flow. To let this experience of pleasure be aqueous.
Yes.
And inside of that droplet, every single tear, every belly laugh is in so high demand right now. It isn't something to be afraid of. as we worry about a virus that travels from lip to lip, from person to person to surface, from surface to person, that my pleasure is here for everyone too. And I'm letting that flow.
Yes.
And when I do that, I honor my ancestors' lives that they struggled to create so I could live.
Yeah. And the pleasure that exists in connecting with them and hearing them, hearing their stories, knowing what has come before us, knowing what is coming after us, knowing that we are connected, forever linked, is such a pleasure-giving feeling.
Yes.
I definitely feel so protected by my ancestors. And I know that so much of it has to do that they have moved me into a life where I get to really center my spirit, my connection to the divine. And I get to center and honor my authenticity as a human being, what my passions are, what my interests are, what gives me joy. And all those things are so protective to really be able to focus on joy, to focus on what gives me life. I think in the last few weeks, I've continued to move into the sanctuary that is my creative practice, and my ancestors have moved me towards this practice. And so I love playing
There's rifle right there. Protecture. It's happening.
protecture.
I'm writing it down. I have to. Take
Oh
notes when
gosh.
Edgar speaks because it's so good. Oh, I'm doing it. Protecture. And I'm actually thinking about that as this idea of texture. This is how your magic works for me and with me. I swear our ancestors must have played in fields together,
Yeah.
because when I think of texture, I think of textiles and weaving. And there's always those colors and intention that get woven in. And my favorite art is art that is something that's happened upon, like treasure in the back of a greenhouse or beneath a rock in a fecund field. There's gorgeous accidents that aren't accidents, that just emerge in time, and they're woven into the spell. I just love that we share a web of life, not just the two of us, but all of us, and all of us
Yes.
share this and are needed to weave their story. And that doesn't have to be a story that's all about joy. It's about your survival. It's about your protector. Oh, I love texture and I love textiles so much. So weave the fabric that you swaddle yourself in as a way of cushioning yourself for the trials that we have before us, for the survival, for your ancestors, for the seeds that are within your body that will knit into this beautiful, fecund, gorgeous, luscious loam of the soil that has intellect, just like the seed. And when they join together, there's this new co-creation, the dance, the child that emerges from that, that's innocent, new. It's new magic and new information, and let it unfurl to the available light. Never give up.
Yes, never give up. And to know that, I think I love what you're kind of naming, that there is this sacred way that we're brought into this field of energy and we're connected. And what you're saying reminds me so much of the spell that I worked on yesterday, the ceremony that I did yesterday. My ancestors very directly told me to bring in Smoky Quartz. And you texted me yesterday and said, let's bring in Smoky Quartz for the ancestors.
Wow.
And that really, those moments of, you know, and that happens between you and I so much, where we'll have these moments where we've just been conversing, right? Like in the astral, psychically, and, you know, just feeling the texture of this smoky quartz.
Yes.
And maybe I can like rub it a little bit or move it a little bit around this.
Thank you.
And
And
just,
Edgar, I need to grab my smoky quartz. Please pardon me for just
yes,
one moment while you give
please.
that smoky quartz pleasure to the
Yes.
divine circle of folks that are consuming this meal, this magical meal. I'll be right back.
Bringing in that smoky quartz magic, knowing that there are intricate webs that are found in this smoky quartz that are also beyond time and space. Crystals hold ancestors. They hold our memories and our intentions. Yes. Oh my gosh, what a beauty.
I'm going to firelight this gorgeous
Oh
beauty
my gosh.
for all of us. And hope it doesn't take the focus off my webcam too much. And if that happens, not but, and if that happens, it's meant to be. Oh, Edgar, that's gorgeous. I love that beautiful sphere. I must mention that my dear heart that has taught me so much about YouTube, Luninate, is an expert on crystals. They would never, ever call themselves an expert, I don't think, at anything. They're the most fabulous, deep, humble Cancer. Luninate has a book called Crystal Intentions, which talks about the shape of crystals, and it's a beautiful, fabulous book. I urge you, if you're not following them on Instagram, or the Big Kahuna is their YouTube channel with over 300 videos.
Oh my
The book
gosh.
Crystal Intentions is fabulous, and I would be very curious to know what she would say about the shape of your crystals. They're
Yeah.
beautiful.
And these are two different types of smoky quartz. This one right here is a Tibetan smoky quartz. I
Yeah,
love that it's like keeps like floating in and out of reality.
exactly.
And then, yeah, this is a more traditional smoky quartz.
Yes.
And I love that you bring up Luninae. I just started following them on YouTube. I've been so blessed by their ASMR and their Reiki magic. Like,
Oh, big time.
oh my gosh. And I think, you know, and you also
Luninate's
bring
an
up
alien.
sorry?
Luninate is an alien.
Yes.
Avowed. And so that is a cosmic blessing. They also have a music channel that I'm sure you would love as well called The Innate, where they have music and visual magic that they create with their partner. It's pretty epic.
Oh, amazing. I need to
Yeah.
go see that. I need to go get into that
Amazing.
alien dimension.
Oh, big time. So this smoky quartz, I understand from my friend Hype Priestess Lacey Conine, messaged me today saying this is a fishtail quartz, smoky quartz, and they'd never seen one in real life before. And I didn't know I had that. This was a gift that my sweetheart and I received on our wedding day. And so there's a backside, like everything.
Oh, wow.
There's a backside. And the fishtail shows on the front side. And I'll catch the light. See that fishtail right there?
Yeah.
I just love to pet crystals and to stroke crystals and to worship crystals and to hum.
Um,
They represent the bones.
yes.
And Edgar gives me the word flow. And I give you the word bones.
Bone.
Bones. Your ancestors hum in your bones.
Yes.
They sing in your marrow. They are alive through you. You sing their song and dance their dance. You are alive for and from ancestors in your bones.
Yes. Yeah, and my people, the Vidarika, we believe that, and we know that our ancestors show up in crystals, and they communicate through us in crystals. They call us, they beckon us, and they send us messages through crystals. And so I've had many experiences where I felt my ancestors calling me, like on a hiking trail or just being outside and kind of hearing them calling and beckoning. And so there's something so sacred about that intricate structure that, you know, kind of mirrors the larger macro structure, right? The inside is so resonant with what's on the outside. And I think that is the way that we're all so interconnected at these, you know, kind of what would seem like micro levels, right? Where you're like connecting with a divine crystal, you know, kin.
Mm-hmm.
They're really helping you tap into this much larger, vaster structure,
Yeah.
this kind of system of life.
Yeah. We're talking about droplets and reclaiming droplets. And when we talk about the bones, we're talking about the flow, because droplets are on perhaps the outside, breathed in through our nose. Let's do that together. Open your lips and say ma. When we hum, it gives pleasure to our framework, our bones that are sometimes so buried deep inside that they don't receive that outer love like our flesh does, like the droplets provide. So we give that hum to our bones to bring waves of pleasure from within to without. Droplets come from without to within. So I just love that droplets become waves, and we give waves of pleasure when we can quiet ourselves and be there, humming to the bones. The pleasures emerge from us to the world. And when we feel that lack, we can also take those outer essences that we spray, the magic the plant kingdom gives us, through other fabulous witches, because witches are so generous that
Yes.
they can give us those droplets that we consume that remind us to center ourselves, breathe deeply, and hum, and let the bones give their magic and receive magic from without to within. It's so fun to be witches.
Yes. It's so fun to witness and explore the ways that as above, so below, as within, so without, just constantly kind of flows through our lives, right? And the ways that our bones are so deeply connected to the earth, to the core of the earth. We are vibrating at the same frequency as the planet. And I think that's also why, as you're naming, when we connect with these sacred plants and crystals, they remind us, they help kind of reattune us to that beautiful flow. That those droplets are such a gift that
Yeah.
allow us to kind of work with those frequencies and have all our energy bodies start to just like light up and dance and help us just kind of move into that divine the beautiful dance of life. Yes.
It's wonderful. You know, traveling through those basics, when we call in the corners, when we call in north, which is earth, and east, which is air, and south, which is fire, there's your orange, and west, which is water, and then spiral into the center of our altar, which is spirit, who is us and we are them. It's just that gorgeous framework, like the bones that are laid in the sweet earth to regenerate and be reborn Those are our ancestors speaking through us as their bones are somehow laid back to the earth. No matter how they left their animal body, their bones return to the earth. I
Yes.
just love that so, so much. So yes, me and my swaddling in pleasures and worshiping of dopamine and praising of endorphins. I also really, really accept and adore that death is part of our life, that night and sleeping is part of our every day, that there's always a balance, there's always a shadow. So there is no bypassing in this epic worshiping of pleasure. It's knowing that the pain is interlocked and interwoven into everything, and to fear not, to weave that in as well.
I know it's interesting that, what we're talking about reminds me so much of learning about interpersonal neurobiology. And
Yeah.
so we all have like a vagus nerve system that allows us to relax and to also sense other people's intentions, their feeling of openness or closeness towards you. And what's so interesting is that that same system is kind of both connected to our ability to close off if we're needing to be closed off, and also to really open ourselves to be vulnerable and to receive pleasure. And so they're literally the same system, and they're involved in both processes. And really, you need both of those together to work. They need to be a dance. And in a way, kind of when you unlock the system of the vagus nerve, that's when you kind of, in many ways, like one of the reasons why the vagus nerve exists is to be able to give us the divine bliss of an orgasm, and to
Mm-hmm.
have that feeling of expansion and ecstasy and safety and protection. And so all of that kind of comes together in that beautiful space. And our vagus system is what allows us to really kind of relax our bodies enough to be able to really receive that pleasure. And so there is something so powerful about that, like weaving that happens between pain, protection, pleasure. Those
Yes.
kind of dance very many times together.
When we talk about ecstatic pleasure and we talk about climactic pleasure, orgasmic climactic pleasure, it talks about a peak,
Yes.
which always, always beckons the valley. So it's kind of being non-judgmental with how that's showing up, that peak, that climax, that ecstasy,
Right.
and that valley that beckons us, where we can have rest inside of this experience of ecstasy. You're such a genius.
Same. Oh my goodness. I love that. I think that's what's something that I love, the power and play of spell work, because it gives us that beautiful valley and that beautiful pinnacle moment where we know we've reached that space together, and then we can rest in that divine valley together. And I think that's something that really nourishes our soul so profoundly.
So true. If there's anybody listening, and I don't know who needs to hear this, but I'm called to say this. As a baby witch, I remember someone very near and dear to me saying that magic is manipulating. And I also would like to reclaim the word manipulation. I'm playing with clay right now as the way that we mold and manipulate form. I'm reclaiming all words that have been used against me in judgment. That's why I adore casting an ancestral protection spell through pleasure with you, Edgar. Um, Whoever needs to hear this, maybe a writing prompt is for you to have a single sheet of paper that has two sides. And one side is words that have been used against you that you are reclaiming in pleasure. So you can maybe write the word judgment at the top. of one page and write down those words like manipulation and droplets that people have tried to load their fear onto, and then turn it over and write the word perceiving at the top, because judgment and perception are kind of similar, but one's in feelings and one's in survival. So maybe it's the writing prompt is to reclaim that word and doodle beautiful things around it, or put on a gorgeous lip color and kiss it. Somehow adorn those words and reclaim them in pleasure, and reclaim them as etymological allies, word allies, language allies, incantation allies, however you want to.
Yeah, and I think that's the sacred power of sacred shadow work, of being able to kind of work with what we've been given, all the divine things that we've been given. And I think, that word manipulation definitely has come up in my life. And
Really?
I think, yeah, there was a time in my life where I really realized that a lot of my strength as a psychotherapist, and also as just an artist and a social person, came from this part of me that is able to be an empath and sense other people's kind of needs and intentions. And for a while, there was so much shame around that being like seen as manipulative, or being seen as like, and then really realizing that that same tool can be used both to hurt and also to heal. And really needing to integrate the parts of me that were wounded and needed to feel like I needed to manipulate, right? And through that, you realize like tools are so powerful and they're such blessings, and they're so needed. And so that for me was a big part of my own shadow work, was like reintegrating something that was seen as negative, seen as hurtful, and then realizing the power in it, the power that you can really use that tool to help other people. And so I love this prompt that you just gave. It's so incredible, because I think another word that comes to mind too is mutant. The reason I use mutants so much in my Magick is because of that pain that, I was called a freak so much my life. And that to me was one of the worst things you could be, was to be a freak. And so to really reclaim that and be like, I am a mutant, I am a freak, like, that has been such a gift, and it's really helped me connect with so many other mutants and freaks now. And yeah, bless our mutant webs,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no one like you in the way that you've been able to be in the simplicity of that word, which is now so magical, because we are transforming, we're transmutating.
Yes.
And we're owning the fact that by staying singular and together in the way that we're apart right now, we're allowing something that could threaten us, especially our elders that are holding our ancestral story. We're allowing this virus to drop and to not mutate into something bigger. And so we're allowing ourselves to transmute and realize that we can be outside of corporate structures, that we can go into our home spice cabinet and call it an apothecary, that your magic is in the waters that you set anywhere overnight to capture moon energy and lunar light, to create your own moon magic, your own moon water. There is literally room for everyone, and we can exist without the grind. We can exist without hurting ourselves, by being calm and singular and owning what we're transmuting, not taking a virus and letting it travel and find so many hosts that it transmutes into COVID-20.
Right.
Okay, so I'm just going to say, stay home. Make your own magic.
Yeah.
You are an altar. You are an apothecary. You can do it.
And you are mutating right now. That's
Yes,
what's so beautiful. You are mutating we as a species are collectively mutating, and we're all doing it together at once. And that is such a blessing for us to all be joined as a global planet. And I think so much back to your powerful macro spell, and think so much of how much we are wanting that union, that connection, that inclusivity of bringing all of us together, not leaving anyone out. And I think that's a huge thing that we're mutating beyond, is these systems of exclusion and exploitation, really saying we are no longer in those systems. We are becoming another species as a whole. And I really want to honor the spell work that you've been doing in service of this vision.
Thank you. I call it my gargantuan spell, and that is to weave and co-create together a world where all are sheltered, fed, and have agency within their experience. And I really mean that. Until all of us are free, none of us are free. And this is the way it looks today. So today I still have a sacred duty to the animal baby me to wrap myself and swaddle myself in pleasure. Giving that away to fear does not help me to survive. And I got one job right now, and so do you, to survive. That's your one job. So half of that job has got to be in pleasure. The other one you can weave in as your shadow work and your pain. So I must share, and if that's okay with you, Edgar, my yummy and delicious witch's brew du jour, which is super divine because this is the first one that my son ever made. And I talk about it in my live stream on my channel that I think I just called Spell and Moon Tarot. And it's from the 3rd, so it's from April 3rd, 2020. So I think it goes 432. It was kind of fun for me. Anyways, it was from my Friday live stream. And so this is really basic and simple. I want everyone to know how to care for your body and your immune system by expanding the magical cells of your body into their plump fullness. Because how fabulous are our bodies that they're made to change sizes. So well and swell and grow your immune system cell by cell right now with this moon-infused water, with the utter simplicity of fresh peeled ginger. And I talk about them as pennies because they're little circles that are penny-sized circles. There's 5 of them in this brew. Boone also shook, I think, 3 shakes of cayenne pepper in this. And then he took the single round of a lemon. He cut the center of a lemon into a round and put this in the brew. And I'm trying to remember if there was more. It was utter simplicity. Ginger. Oh, and I know there was a big, big tablespoon of local honey in that.
Yeah.
Because we're honoring the pollinators right now, which at my house, I don't know about you, it's quiet right now. So the crows and the bees and the birds are everywhere. Their nature is reclaiming their space. It's so fun. So you'll put all the ingredients in, stir in 13 anti-clockwise circles, put a lid on it, and let it steep for 13 magical minutes, and you got yourself a big pot of witch's brew. And we drink to life, saying, "A votre santé," to your health. And thank you to my sweetheart Boone, who created this brew.
That sounds so lovely. Oh my
So
goodness,
tasty.
what a gift.
So the brews roll in 3 days. I save them and I keep adding moon infused water to them for 3 days. You always have it on the pot, you know?
Less kitchen witch magic.
So awesome. How will we ever name our videos, Edgar? Delight me. I can't wait to see what you call this, because we brought such the incredible meal to each other. I feel so nourished right now.
Me too.
May I please share a poem?
Please.
This is a poem by Yvonne Mayo. I give you moon wish. As I sit here silently watching the moon above my head, I wonder at its beauty as it sheds, and how our ancient kin and kith on such beauteous nights also sat and watched and prayed in its softly healing light. How many others watched and thought of elders in the past who also sat and watched the moon on its glorious silver path. How many sat and prayed for peace in lands torn apart by strife, who sat and thought of wives and mothers in its softly healing light. How many in the future will also do this rite of praying for a peaceful world on a softly moonlit night? And as I sit in wonder and contemplate its light, I bring together past and future on this present night and wish that in this strife torn world of anger, fear, and fright, we all can find an answer in its softly healing light. Oh, thank you, Yvonne Mayo.
Thank
Who
you so,
are
so
you?
much.
Who is she? This is from 2009, and I'm just going to say it again. Boone selected this poem for us today.
Oh my
I
goodness. Wow.
know.
Thank you so much, Boone.
I know. Boone means blessing, and so they are also named after the punk poet, the rest in power D. Boone of the magical SoCal band, the Minutemen. So
Mm.
Boone is a radical blessing and a beautiful poet in their own right. So thank you for that. Moon Wish.
Oh, so divine. And I'm so grateful to Boone for kind of creating such an intense divine platform, to share with everyone here today, and also for bringing in the magic of our punk and queer ancestors who have really created such a radical new consciousness and have inspired so many witches. And I think that for myself, I entered into the witch realm through like the underground feminist punk
Totally.
riot girl scene. And so to me, witchcraft and our punk ancestors are so deeply interwoven together. So definitely want to honor them in this video too, to just name that their legacy is still so alive. And I'm so blessed to see the future ancestors who are working with that magic now too.
So true. Edgar, if I could just beg for us to indulge in this moment to name some favorite artists, I would love to just kind of have a spot. We did not talk about this before, so we don't have to go down this road, but I would love to spontaneously share back and forth artists that are thrilling us, dead or alive. They live through our words. I am obsessed with clay right now because of the word manipulation. And so I am beckoning and I am invoking the power of Camille Claudel, who
Mm.
was Auguste Rodin's lover. And so they were kind of thought to be mad and driven to madness. Their artwork was absolutely exquisite and stunning, and they remained in Rodin's shadow in many ways. And Boone and I got to go to the Rodin Museum in the summer of 2017 together. And I'm just in love with the madness that can come at times when we're deep in our magical process. And I'm holding space for people to not go mad and to stay in their body and thrive to tell the story of their magical art. So I'm honoring Camille Claudel. We can go back and forth.
Yeah, I think the first person that comes to mind is someone who's still very much alive. Her name is Lynn Greenwood. She had a band called Tracy and the Plastics. And
Teach me.
please, I would love for you I could send you some of their videos, but I saw them as a young person. I remember the first time I saw them was in Pomona at Claremont College. And They are a queer like video artist who made so many incredible shows where she would literally have like a screen behind her and then would have characters come on the screen, and those everyone was played by her, and she would have full-on conversations with them, and they would talk about like many different things, like and it always kind of cut with some really divine synth punk, like dancey music that always had a really beautiful message as well. And I remember seeing her for the first time and just having that moment of like, is this real? Is this possible? You know, are we able to kind of weave all these things together, politics and video art and music and performance, and such a root for me. And she's very much alive, lives in Seattle, teaches, and I'm hoping one day I can meet her in person. I definitely, I definitely feel like we're very much due for a wonderful conversation about our inspirations.
So special.
Yeah.
We've shared the love of a lot of queer artists together, Edgar. And I am sort of deeply into an Orange County crew through the rock and roll camp for girls, Orange County for femmes, non-binary youth, and we had 5 consecutive magical years in a row that we created rock camp. And our founder is Candace Hansen, who is the drummer in Alice Baggs band. And so Alice is also like part of the rock camp world. And they're also really very close. Candace is really close with CJ of Dimmer, who
Love
we both
CJ.
adore. So there's just so much incredible. I mean, that was one sentence that had about 20 artists in it. And I'm so here for all the living artists too, that are truly all without income right now. And so I'm really holding space for all of us as we're going through this kind of a mass exodus of souls and a mass transformation of funds and abundance, and that we're learning to take it down to just what we have on hand and to think about our abundance and sharing really differently. And the fact is that we still have to be in pleasure. So really, I could say it's the artists that are and witches that are saving us right now in many ways. I've had so many visions of this through time, through my gargantuan spell.
Yeah.
And it really would be witchcraft that saved it all.
I know. I feel like years ago I had just graduated from my master's in counseling program, and my friend and I went to the seaside and we did a ceremony together, and I had this vision. We both had it together of kind of the sacred oracles, the divine mystics, all the witches being brought from the outside of community all the way back into the center of community, and everyone turning around and sending their energy towards them, because everyone realizing how important and vital they are for holding spirit in their hearts, for emanating spirit, and for supporting us in reconnecting with spirit. And I feel like since I had this vision, this was back in 2013, my life has changed so completely, and I've witnessed that reorganizing happening so much. And I think, you're naming alive artists. There's so many in California, all over the planet, who are such powerful interlocutors who flow in between magic and art and music, community organizing, all of that just kind of flowing so divinely through them, that flow, right? Like just flowing. And I think that to me is something that gives me so much hope, is that we have been building these networks and we have been reorganizing the way that we think about money and community and our priorities, what is important for us. And I really am seeing that the witches are leading the way. And that is something for me that I'm definitely all power to witches for all the magic that they are doing and all the hope and the joy and the pleasure that they're giving us constantly.
I know, it's incredible right now.
Yes, it's definitely keeping my spirit soaring through this time. And I know so many people are receiving the divine blessings of all the witches who are doing their work right now, who have been doing this work, right? Like, and a lot of us are being called to mutate now and say, like, okay, how do my offerings mutate? How do
Yes.
I connect with people in different ways? And I think that all is also such a profound medicine of this time is we are really mutating in ways that are really going to be important in the future.
Oh, so real. I mean, this is the ancient future. We're living it in this present moment. And there's the crow that may or may not be captured in my microphone, but the crows have just been calling, which I know that that's Hecate,
Yeah.
calling from the underworld where the bones tell their story. And I just love thinking about, the DNA strands, to those helix, to that prismatic radical chains that are linked together, this information, as the crow calls, the information that's commingling right now and weaving together. And for everybody that's present here in our circle to really let their colors fill their form. Edgar, you talked a little bit about sort of that duality of when things are harmful or not. I thought of a bud, and some of them bloom and some of them don't. And I had mentioned before, we unfurl to available light.
Mm.
We could stay in this bud form right now. And I ask us to be calm and quiet so we can detect where the available light is to bloom and unfurl towards, to not be thwarted behind the word wall and not stay in that tight bud form to self-protect if it's possible. If you can keep yourself plump with your witch's brew, plump with this swaddling of dopamine and endorphins that you wrap yourself in, so you can listen, so you can detect, so you can feel with your inner knowing where that available light is, so you can safely unfurl towards. It's a different quality of listening that's required now to thrive.
Mm. And I just want to envision anyone who's listening, anyone who's connected to whoever's listening, and everyone all over the planet just starting to mutate and to be gifted more and more that ability to sense where the light is, to
Yes.
move towards the light, and to allow their bodies to get plump with pleasure.
Yes.
Unfurling is such a divine word.
I
And
love it too. And plump is too.
I love plump. Yes. I
When I
would
was
love to,
a
in
kid, I
honor
called
of what
myself plumpery. I just wanted to just throw that in there because that's ancestral
plumpery.
through me. The word was plumpery because we're talking about new words, and plumpery is still a word that my family uses. I just was about it. I loved being plumpery.
Do you mind sharing what plumpery means in your family?
Gushy and full and
Ooh.
thick and juicy and being like round was
Yeah,
plumpery,
I'm
is
fine.
plumper. I'm reclaiming the word plumpery again, and it goes for texture and to thrive.
Yes, yes,
We're magical. We are made for these times. We're made to change sizes. We're made to mutate. And
yes. Can I please pick a card? I feel like this very much feels like a moment to pick a card in honor
oh,
of all the divine channelings that have been moving through us.
yes,
Um,
please.
and I'm going to be picking a card here from the powerful deck called the Archetypes deck. It is made by the artists Megan Whitmarsh and Jade Gordon. They are in Los Angeles. They're both divine living witches.
Oh, beautiful. Say
And
your name one more time, please.
yeah, so the name is the Archetypes deck, and the Divination deck is made by the artists Megan Whitmarsh and Jade Gordon.
Yes. I'm loving the plaid.
Yes, Plaid Magic.
So much.
So I want to pick a card for our ancestors. I want to pick a card to really allow them to move and mutate through us.
Yes, please. Thank you, ancestors.
Thank you, ancestors.
Swaddle me in that magic, ancestor.
Oh my God, X. So the ancestors bring forward jazz hands.
Ah,
Oh my
spirit,
God. I love this magic right here. Yes. So the jazz hands are they're such a gift. They are our mutant power, our ability to see things that are not present in the physical dimension, but that can be sensed by our inner abilities. So jazz hands is all about living as if, doing as if, being as if.
Mm.
So we are our ancestors are us, we are the future, we are the past, we are the present, and we get to play. This is the card of play. So working with play magic. So any reality you're wanting to invoke, any timeline you're wanting to float into, flow into, you work with those jazz hands. You find, who am I when I'm feeling the plumpery of it all? Who
Mm.
am I? How am I flowing? How do I move in that dimension? How do I sing in that dimension? What do I look like? So you're really working with that divine vision magic. How do you flow into your highest desire?
Mm.
So that is jazz hands, and really working with movement I think is huge. That movement is flow. So thank you, ancestors, for this powerful message and reminder of our play and the
Mm.
portals that emerge when we play and we move in the way that we desire.
Inside of how we desire is how we can move. It's how our body has the privilege to move. We're all in a body, however our body can move. I
Yeah.
love that our hands are our heart's messenger, and they always reveal how we feel. For we create shapes in the world that are the babies of our hearts knowing. And jazz hands, how fabulous, how spectacular, because look at these magic wands. And if we have the ability to have 10 functional magic wands, we have more privilege. So we have more opportunity.
Yes.
And those of us that have a body that's disabled, that moves differently, we also have the ability to be in our jazz hands and
Yes.
tell that story and adorn ourselves like that glamour for protection of whispering what we know and what's true and bathing ourselves with our jazz hands. I love jazz so much. I can't even.
I'm so blessed by the messages that the ancestors brought forward. And I love what you're naming, that you don't need hands to do jazz hands. You know, you can do jazz hands
They're
with your
spirit
spirit, with
figures
your
for a
heart.
reason. They're in spirit. I love that deck. I must get that.
Yes, I can show you what it looks like, the outside of the package.
Yes,
Here.
please. So pretty.
Yeah.
I love a satchel.
Satchel magic.
Totally. Well, I must pull a card too. I've been
Please.
quietly shuffling over here. I'm attached right now to a traveling deck that's moved into my life, and I know it will move out too. This is the Spirit of Life Round Tarot. It's from an Italian artist named Maria Di Stefano. I only have hunches of who they are, but tarot itself is a system that is thought to be developed in Italy. This is a deck that fell on my foot when I was experiencing what I could only call tarot blindness, because I was utilizing a deck for almost 30 years that was very harmful, and I was eyes open to its harm that it did in the world and in the community. And tarot was gone from my lips and my eyes. And this deck literally fell on my foot at a witch shop. I love round tarot. So thank you, Maria Di Stefano, for existing. I love that it's a femme artist. The artwork is less gendered creatures that look very fey to me, and they have uniquely different colors and shapes. So this has been a healing deck for me. Lots of mushrooms, very trippy, super fractaled out. And so I'm just going to break this deck into 3 and back into 1, because that's how I do. And I'm going to choose the top of the deck.
Is this the same deck that you use for your divine readings as well?
I do. This is Miss Thing for now. I dream of creating my own deck, and we will see what happens with that. I call my practice Moon Tarot because I am giving myself the permission to speak my truth with Moon Tarot. So I love round tarot because I'm able to read the 8 phases of the moon in there. So we're just going to let those ancestors speak as it begins to rain here in California right at this moment.
Wow, what a blessing.
I know it is a blessing. So this is really powerful. We have the reversed Ace of Swords. The reversed Ace of Swords. It's a pregnant form waiting to begin. So I'll show you the card upright. We are in this waiting to begin phase. As we know that there is an opportunity to be stung in this moment, and with our magic intention, we're holding that stinger at bay with our stillness. The stillness I saw because we're reversed, which means it's a quieter, more intuitive space. This is a time for us to believe in the new beginning more than ever, and let it be in our lips and in our thoughts. Because when we see the swords, that's the direction of east, or the element of air, and air is art and music and writing and musing and psychic ability and the internet. So I am now in a phase of worshiping copper wires for being a conductor of energy.
Yes.
So we need to believe in this quiet time, in this reversal. Don't let anyone rob the knowledge that this reversal is bringing to you. If you're sleeping 10 hours, you should have probably always slept for 10 hours. I've never rested so much in my life. I kind of never want to return to how it was before. So there's a lot to be learned from this stillness. So thank you, Ace of Swords, for your knowledge and wisdom. Let's really protect pregnant femmes right now. Let's protect little babies right now. Let's protect our elders with everything we've got in this magical time of reversal, this magical quieted time.
And can I add also, I'm really
Please.
feeling that this is so, to also really protect the visions and the dreams that we have, the hopes that we have, the things that we're wanting to birth into this world, and that this is such a sacred time to be with those in silence and to really allow the magic of this time to help those gestate.
Beautiful. As the droplets fall from the sky. I don't know if you can hear any of that rain. It kind of came down and now it's a little quieter, but it's a wonderful gray blanket. And by the way, come on, could anything be better lighting than like the soft light of a cloudy sky? Love it.
Oh my goodness. I love that we, through this air magic of the internet, of this connection, that there's also so much beautiful interplay with nature, and that nature is communicating and also working with its air magic as it moves these systems around the entire country, and knowing that the system I have here in Oklahoma is so intimately connected to the system there in California.
So true. Well, we are a worldwide coven, and Edgar, we adore you. We thank you for kicking off our 2020 with your incredible full moon spell and ritual in the Many Moons Lunar Planner. It's all captured. It's all in a droplet on my YouTube channel on the 2020 full moon. I'll probably go back and retitle it, edit the title to say your name, because now you're doing the divine and gorgeous calling of growing your YouTube channel. And I'm just super excited to link and share
Same.
and fertilize your gorgeous field and feed you in any and every way that you desire. I'm so, so proud of you. And thank you for your sharing your magic with all of us.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. I'm so grateful for this time. And I'm so glad that we've gotten to connect and to share so much magic between us and between our beloved connections that are surrounding us. And we could feel them now through time and space. And I'm also so, so grateful to Sarah Faith Gottesdiener for bringing together so many witches. And I'm thrilled for Babette's incredible full moon ritual that's coming up. And I'm thrilled for your ritual that's coming up later this year, and holding the divine faith and vision that we'll be together in person to
Me
be
too.
able to do your ceremony together. I really feel like that's going to happen. So definitely sending out prayers for our future incantations.
Yes. And all the colors that will flow through that. I am the witch who's casting the spell in the Many Moons Lunar Planner 2020 on Halloween night because it's a full moon, Mercury retrograde, Taurian full moon, a super blue moon. It's a biggie. A
of
lot of
course, of course, you're the perfect person.
I tell the tale and give the witch's brew recipe from the last full moon, which was on Halloween night 19 years ago, in which I was blessed with a radical body expanding and body shaking, earth shaking vision from Mary and Lilith. So I am telling the tale from Mary and Lilith, and of course, always Venus, through my Libra sun body and my Taurus rising body for that big blue moon, which is a Taurus blue moon. It's just radical how it's working out. I'm open to everything. And so hopefully Edgar and I will be together, and I really see it happening as well. And if we can weave in it being at the fabulous Witches Confluence in San Francisco, if they are an in-person offering this year, great. If not, I know we're going to find someplace.
Yeah.
I just have my own feeling. We'll talk. I have my own ideas of where that's going to be. So I love you so much, Edgar.
I love you too. Thank you so much. We are so honored to have you here with us and to be connected together. And I so look forward to more divine conversations and connections like this. So thank you so much. And I'm, so grateful for our web. And I'm so excited to link everyone and to like really send the love to our divine community. And just, as we talked about earlier, before we actually got and started talking here, was just this idea that it is such a blessing that so many of us are doing this work together, that we are a huge coven.
Yes.
And what a blessing that we all get to share in each other's brilliance.
Oh, it's wonderful.